Hello everybody, this video is going to be an introduction to SPSS. We're going to use a file that's posted on D2L, and I have several goals here. The data file is about PVAS data. So one goal is just to start to understand PVAS data. I'm going to enjoy getting into this over the course of the semester. I think we're going to go into this more. I have quite a bit more data than what I'm sharing now. I have saved the data in an Excel file. I could have saved it in an SPSS file, but I really want you to learn how to import from Excel, so more practice with that. One of the variables in this data file is free and reduced lunch percentage. So it goes from 0 to 100. And we're going to recode that into three groups, those from 0 to 33, 34, and to 66, and 67 up, so that we can compare them, the schools, as groups according to which of those thirds they fall into. More practice using the data tab versus the variable tab in SPSS, and some more practice with basic commands in SPSS related specifically to descriptive statistics. Finally, you're going to get some results, and I want you to just start to consider the results and whether what they say about PVAS data in general. Right. I want to show you where I got the data. What I did was, I of course have access to the public site, and you probably have access to much more extensive data than I do. But I downloaded all the data for all the schools in Pennsylvania, for the Keystones and for reading and for math, by I don't know what that is, by doing a search until I got this table here, and I copied that table, pasted it into Excel, and then I matched that data set by the name of the school to other data sets that PDE has that have to do with school public financing, as well as basic information like free and reduced lunch. So I have a very extensive data files, but to keep it kind of simple, we're going to focus on just math grades 4 through 8 and these variables of growth index, standard error, average growth index, proficiency, percentage proficiency, etc. Just the ones that are here, plus free and reduced lunch and school type, charter, cyber charter, or regular public. Right? We're going to do some analysis with those things using SPSS. Right? And we're going to be kind of looking at the idea of whether or not there's a relationship between proficiency levels and free and reduced lunch, or between growth levels and free and reduced lunch. Now, the claim of the PVAS folks is that poverty doesn't make a difference when you're talking about growth, because the way the growth measure is calculated has to do with the predicted score of the student based on their scores from previous years. So even though there is an effect of poverty on the absolute achievement of students, that would be kind of consistent across the student over time. So if a student scored low in a previous year and they scored low in the next year, well, they might have made still average growth. And so even if a student or a group of students is affected by poverty in terms of their proficiency, the claim is that they are not affected in terms of their growth, that a student who is in a poor school or a student who themselves is poor has just as good a chance at making growth as any other student. We're going to look at that question. So I think you have better scatter plots than I have, but all I can look at is growth versus achievement. So for example, here reading this, achievement across grades, obviously higher means more percentage of students being proficient, and this is the growth. 0 is what stands for expected growth in these data files. So if you got 0, that actually means you're exactly average in terms of growth. If you are up above the x-axis in these scatter plots, it means that you grew more than was expected. Right? Actually, to be a little bit more concrete, it means that you grew more in relative to other schools' growth patterns. Okay, because all of the growth has to do with relative ranking. And that's going to be very important in our discussions, not this week, but probably in the future. All right, so when you look at the actual data file that I have, you're going to download this and you're going to save it in your desktop, in your file folder, somewhere where you're going to be able to get to it from SPSS. And when you look at that data file, it looks like this. You got the school district, etc. These are the information that are copied from that page I just showed you. And free and reduced lunch is something that I matched from another file, and institutional type. Right? By the way, I have to say that this was a tremendous amount of work matching all this up because they don't have the exact same names in different files. They go by different names, slightly different. Actually, sometimes very different, and they sometimes use acronyms or shortened versions of names in one file and not in another. I spent actually, I think, more than a whole day just matching school names. All right, but I did it, and it was worth it because I love the PBOS data analysis. It's very interesting to me. All right, so going back to our goals, understand the data file. So that's the introduction to the data file. The main thing being that you know that those variables are going to be in SPSS once you bring it in. And next we're going to import from Excel. After I import from Excel, that'll be the end of this first video, and then I'm going to add another video or maybe a couple videos to explain the rest of this. All right. I already have the file opened up because I didn't want to have the spinning wheel while I did the video. But what you're going to do is go, you're going to open up SPSS. You might get some like initial questions, like do you want to use Unicode? Just go with the kind of the default answers, and then you want to go to Open Data, navigate to the folder where your data is. I'm on a Mac now, so I see my data file. This is the one here, but it's grayed out. If I was on a PC, I wouldn't see it at all. I have to make sure to change this to the file type that I'm looking for, and now I can import the data. It will ask me if this is the right worksheet, and I could change it if it isn't, but I only have one worksheet here. And if you have some other questions, go with the default. And there's my data file. So hopefully you can get the data file open, and then you can watch the next video.